I've never believed in the idea that psychology could hold someone back. I would analyze my trade. I'm afraid to execute the trade. I'm always scared of opening trades. Oftentimes it comes where you don't have confidence in a thing. It comes from ignorance. It comes from assuming. You see, most times the reason why we're scared of certain events is because we're not certain of the outcome. We're scared of death because we haven't died before. If we've died before and we're back to life, no one will be afraid to die. You understand?
Yeah.
Traders will tell you, oh, they are afraid of executing certain trade. It's not because they have psychological problem. It comes from not knowing, the fear of the unknown. If you've not tested your system, these are the type of traders where you meet them, you ask them, what's the win rate of your system? They always have a number.
Yes.
If you meet an average trader, so what's the win rate of your system? Oh, 70%, oh, 60%,
that number is always
80%.
70%.
Exactly. So it's amazing when they give you these numbers. But my follow-up question from years of mentoring, I would ask you, how did you know? It's very important we have, heart-to-heart conversations with those we're mentoring and those we intend to help. If you give me a number and it's above 50%, you don't need my help. Because if we're being very honest, with a 50% win rate, all you need is a 1 to 2 risk to reward, and you're profitable. With a 50%, if you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward, you should be selling mentorship. You should, because 50% 1 to 3 keeps you way above profitability. So why would you tell me you have 80% win rate and, oh, I have 80% win rate, but my problem is psychology? Your problem is not psychology. You don't have 80% win rate. You don't even know.
Statistics shows that over 85% of you that are watching this channel is not subscribed. Now, at this point, I don't know how to convince you to join the tribe, but on this channel, we try to bring entrepreneurs. For now, we're focusing on traders to educate you on what Forex trading is, basically how to make money with Forex and how to play the Forex game the right way. Subscription, or you subscribing, is the only way you help us and you tell us you enjoy what we are doing and you want us to continue. So if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, just click on the subscribe button. Use this time to click on the subscribe button. Do well to like the video. Drop a comment. If you have any request, if you have any question, always drop it in the comment section and we'll be glad to answer you and attend to you. I'm sorry I've taken your time so long, so let's get back to the video. Enjoy your video. So hi guys, it's 2025 and apparently one of the most surest way of making money in 2025 is Forex trading, and my job in this space is to share the stories of successful traders, especially young ones, and to inspire every other person watching that you can get there, no matter how it might take long, right? It might look like it's not going to work, but then you watching and you're saying, oh, maybe one day it's going to be my turn. My job is going to show you people that were once where you are right now and what they are doing right now, right? And they are going to inspire you to become a better person. And today, I am seated with one of the most successful ones, and ones that if you check their track record, you actually see that they are trading and not, let me not start the video with anything, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dake Jr. What's good, my brother?
I'm fine, man. Thank you so much for having me.
You're actually a very chill person compared to the Twitter.
Well, the thing is, I'm also chilled online until recently, but I wouldn't call it chilled. I'm a very shy person, to be very honest. And, as an introvert, it's difficult to connect with people and then, release energy. So it takes a lot of time for me to get comfortable around certain people and then vibe well. So, yeah. So I wouldn't say reserved.
But then it didn't take you time to release energy, because ever since we came here, I wasn't seeing that. I'm an introvert myself, but then when I'm outside, I'm outside.
Yeah, I understand. There are introverts like that. For me, I'm all about, I have to get to know you first. But then for you, the way you came, the energy was there. So it was easy for us to connect, you understand, from the last event we met as well. So it's just there.
Makes sense, makes sense. And first off, let me start by saying I love what you've done with this place.
Thank you.
When I was coming, even though I've seen like snippets of this place, you make content with it. And I'm like, why is it so, everything looks so 3D-ish. Like, oh, everything needs to be where they are. Don't touch anything and all of those things. You have a very nice space here.
Thank you.
But let's go back, right? Dake Jr. Who is Dake Jr. before Forex?
Well, before Forex,
Yeah.
that's an amazing question, to be very honest, because initially I owned a foundation, right? My foundation literally have lots of recognitions from international organization as well. So before Forex, I thought I was going to be like, maybe someone significant in the tech space because I learned graphics design. I was designing there. I was earning from the skill
Yeah.
before I, eventually stumped into the idea of making money online, which is Forex. So Dake Jr. before Forex, I would say, was someone who was trying to build a reputation around the tech space, and not just that reputation, but also trying to transform life. I've received lots of recognition in terms of my foundation as well. So I would say before Forex, I had a thing going for me. Of course, the tech,
Okay.
and then my foundation. Trying to like raise funds for out of school street
Yeah.
children. All of these things was happening at the same time. This was before Forex.
So now, what's going on with the foundation right now?
No,
Did
the
you stop it?
foundation is still there. I think since we started, we've sponsored more than 15,000 out of school street kids back to
Oh
school.
wow.
Yeah, and these records are online as well. So it's still there. But then I'm not actively in the foundation. We have a learning space in Lagos. And now we call it a learning space because it's not registered as a school. But
No.
then the same thing that happens in a school is the same thing that happens there. So we have staffs, we have teachers. The students, they come from the normal curriculum according to the standard of the country. So we have a learning center. It's our first. It's in Lagos here on the island, of course, and so the foundation is still running. Technically, I have people who oversee certain things. I go there occasionally. But the concept to my foundation, it's not just centered on taking out of school street children back to
Back
school.
to school, yeah.
It's centered on, empowering them for the future of work. We need to be very honest. In Nigeria right now, it's not enough to go to school. We need to start preparing people in terms of the skill. At some point, I got to realize that we do have, graduates in the country, of course, but we don't have graduates that are employable, if that makes sense. So when I came up with the idea of the foundation, the initial plan was to incorporate vocational skills training like soap making, tailoring, graphic design, web developing into the same curriculum. While they are coming to school, while they are learning, they are also learning how to do several things. Now the end product would be, imagine someone who spent 6 years in secondary school, not just going to the traditional chemistry, physics, and whatnot, but then alongside they are being taught something that they could use when they
When they
graduate. So that
graduate.
is just the whole goal for us with the foundation.
Bro, you know the crazy part. I like the fact that we're starting here, right?
Yeah.
Because one will look at everybody trying to push forex industry on the internet, and they think, oh, this is the only thing these guys do. It's either they move from reading the charts or they're trying to promote a cause.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked you if you have it, and you were like, nah.
No, I don't
So
have
is
any.
that's the story we see, and it's very amazing that you're doing all of this even before you found
Yeah.
forex, right? And it was working out for you, right? So that brings me to the question: how did you switch? What was the turning point?
Well, you see, when we use the word switch, it feels like maybe I, left something for
For
something,
something, yeah.
but I feel like I'm still doing everything at the same time, except the graphic design, of course. But for the foundation, it's still running. At some point, we needed funds, while we're talking about the idea of running a foundation, ours is not just some occasional thing from time to time. Ours was running from Monday to Sunday, Sunday to Sunday, every single day. You have kids that you're not just paying for their fees, you're paying staffs, you're taking care of their family, because it's not just about the child. You need to look over the family. These people have things that they need for themselves. So the burden was becoming too much. I was getting the recognition, of course. I was recognized by Ashoka, by a lot of international
Wow.
organizations. Yeah. So I was getting the recognition, but the funding was not enough. The goal was growing. You help this child today. The parent of this child will introduce you to another family. It's more like word of mouth kind of marketing. So
Yeah.
now you can't say no to certain things. And for me, I'm a very emotional person. If you tell me certain stories, I can get moved and send my last card to you. So whenever they
So
come,
before you
yeah,
continue,
sure.
let me I'm cooking up my own story, by
Okay,
the way,
sure,
so that you
sure.
can send your last card.
No, no, no. Okay, no, no. The
So,
thing is, now I'm better because I've come to understand that while you're trying to help people, it's very important to help yourself as
people take
well.
advantage of that.
Exactly.
So,
So,
so.
then we were having lots of things to do. Lots of things to do that needed funding,
Yeah.
and I just got into the university as well, and I needed some sort of sustainability, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that
that
makes
was
sense.
the initial concept. That was where I was just watching the news and I saw this South African. I don't know if I should mention name, but
You
his
can.
name is
Yeah.
Sandili. I don't know if you know him, Sandili Shezi. Now, he was very young. This was way back 2016, 17. He was very young. And then he was tagged as the youngest Forex millionaire in South Africa. So I felt like if someone like this is doing this thing, maybe I can. So that was where I picked up the idea of, okay, let me see what this Forex is all about. Let me see if I can learn. Then I went online, I started learning. And the mistake I did, which as at then, I think everyone who started trading around 2016 to 2018 would probably fall within this category, is when I started learning, I felt I was learning Forex. I never knew I was learning binary.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I never knew I was learning binary, and that was a disaster because I lost my first deposit was a mess. It was really a mess. So circling back to your question in terms of when did I make the
It's a
switch? For
switch. Yeah.
me, it was because of the need to sustain my foundation. It was because of the need, because the burden was growing. There were lots of people to pay. There were lots of families to take care of, and it's now looking like you can't do this from crowdfunding. You need
Yeah.
some sort of tangible source of income for you to grow. Initially, the foundation wasn't meant to grow like this. It was just my way of giving back. But the more you keep doing, the more you want to do
You
more.
want to do
So
more.
that
Yeah.
was how I started.
So let's take it back a little bit more, right? Because we live in a country where it's almost impossible to dream, right? You wake up and there is 1,001 things reminding you to stay small and don't be, you dare not be bigger than what you are right now, right? I mean, saying from my own end, I grew up in an environment where with 5 million naira, they can literally name a street. They can name a street by, they can just
Yeah.
use your name to name a street, right? So how did you even dare to think about foundations, think about helping people and all of those things even before university? Because you said you discovered Forex in university. That means the foundation was running even
Yeah.
before university. So how did you tell us a little bit about the background,
Okay.
right? Family upbringing, environments you grew up in and everything.
All right. For me, my family upbringing is a bit complicated because I'm from a military background, right? And my mom, her dad was in the military. I grew up in the barracks most of my life. So, growing up, if your dad is in the military, they sort of have some sort of way of thinking that their kids must also pass through certain things.
Yeah.
Like for me, initially, I was supposed to go for NDA. My dad wanted me to go, so when I'm out of the whole thing, there's a secure job for me. But then everything changed. But circling back to your question on how life before the foundation started out of personal interest from church. I was a cell leader in church. I'm still a cell leader in church, and of course a lot of. So I'm still a cell leader in church, but the whole thing started for me when I felt like a lot needs to be done. Like I said, the foundation was meant to be small. I have some few things, let me help some few people. It was supposed to be extremely very small. But the more I do, the more there is more to
To
do.
do, yeah.
So it now felt like this was not the plan. To be very honest, 2 years into the foundation, I was like, bro, this was not the plan. Because now you're thinking of owning, a learning center. It means you have to rent somewhere. You need to
Expansion.
pay staffs. You need to have some sort of uniform. These kids would come. You need to feed them. So it was growing way too fast beyond just what I thought. So with the whole foundation for me, my family isn't poor. I wouldn't say, in terms of a lot of people would say, oh, they come from this, they come
Grass
from
to
that.
grace, yeah.
Exactly. I wouldn't say I'm extremely rich, but my family isn't poor. I mean, my dad now is a lieutenant colonel, so he's like high ranking in the military right now. But growing up, he wasn't there, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wouldn't say it was all silver and gold for me. There are times where my parents had to even cut me out of the whole family thing. because I wanted to learn Forex. Like I told you,
Oh wow.
the initial plan, I wasn't meant to go to normal university.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to NDA, like I said. NDA is like another university, but for military.
For the
So
yeah.
when you're out, you're either coming out as an officer or something. So that was the initial plan. So when I told my dad that I'm not interested and I'm not willing to go for NDA, so it was a big mess. My dad had to like pull out some sort of help, if that makes sense. So going into the university was disappointment number one, if we're being very honest,
Yeah.
because I've disappointed them. I was supposed to have a career path. Then
Already made for you.
already made for me, and he's in there, so it's easier for him to do some certain things. So in the university, year one into the university, I now said to them that the course I'm studying is not something I want to do anymore. I want to be a Forex trader. It was a chaos, to be very honest. To be very honest, it's like it now felt like you're not serious with your life, because
Yes. I
first
mean,
you
how
can't
dare
exactly,
you?
you just keep changing things. So they
Yeah.
never loved the idea of trading. To them, one day he would realize how wrong it is, and eventually he would want to come back to the
Come back,
path we
yeah.
want him to. So that was the initial concept around my whole Forex career. People think I had support because, there are people who know about my family background and they feel like, oh, you're not from a poor family, you have support in terms of funding for your trading. But to be honest, they cut me off to the point where I was paying some certain school things myself, right? And it was so tough, to be very honest. It was really, really difficult. I almost, quit, like leave university, because it was really tough for me. But it's been nice, to be very honest. We lose, we win, and here we are today.
That's something, that's a struggle people don't see.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when people see that, okay, you're from like a well-to-do background,
Yeah.
like the middle class and all of that, and they think everything should be easy for you. One time I was seated here with a guest who also have like a rich
Yeah.
background, and in the comments everywhere they were like, oh, this person is rich, this person
Yeah.
could always afford funding and stuff like that. But then the guy clearly said that he didn't have those luxuries,
Yeah.
right? He had to go through the trenches
What most people
to
don't
make it.
realize is it's difficult for, if you're from a wealthy family, it's difficult for you to have a say of your own. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Oftentimes, even down to marriage, it's all about connection. Your parents want you to marry into this family. They
So
want you
that
to,
they
you,
can
you understand,
expand
there's a certain kind of, there was a time where my mom was connecting me for on dates. To be very honest, she would say, oh, there's this lady, her friend, this, they're from this background. Why don't you guys go on a date? You understand this
Are you
kind? Exactly.
serious?
So I've been there. And when people say, oh, you're from a rich family, you're meant to have, certain things. And for me, it just feels like you don't understand the burden, right? Because
Yeah.
oftentimes there is something they want you to do. If you're from a family where maybe they are, your dad is, let's say, a barrister, they would want you to go through that path. It's very rare for you to find families where they are rich and they allow their kids to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't that way. For me, I was really stubborn for me to break out of, the initial plan for me.
Always they have like a path they want you to follow, and
Yeah.
if you dare move away from that path, they either cut you off
Yeah.
or they make life miserable.
Exactly.
I mean, we thank God for the fact that your dad didn't try to influence anything, because it was going to be tough. I mean, he's a military man. Come on, he
It
has.
was going to be tough. But one thing with my dad is I think it's something I also learned from him. I don't know if it's good or bad, but then if I say something, I advise you on something, if you choose not to do it, I pull off. Right. I don't know
Oh,
if it's good or bad,
because
but
at the
I
end of
think
the day, you
at the
face the
end of the day,
consequences.
exactly. So my dad is always that way. If he tells you to do something and you choose not to do it, he would pull off. He would let you do what you want to do. Eventually, he would feel that, okay, you would come to the realization. But at some point, they got to now realize that, oh, Forex is the way. I mean, there are lots of top military men that are reaching out to me in terms of, oh, they want me to teach them how to trade. So these things couldn't have been possible if I didn't follow my goals.
You had the willpower to
Yeah,
dare, right?
exactly.
So let's talk about Forex right now. How long have you been trading?
Shamefully, I've been trading since
Why
2016.
is it shamefully?
It's shamefully because, when you tell someone you've been trading since 2016, they expect you to have some sort of certain kind of luxury, right? But like I said, when I started, I was learning amiss. I was learning the wrong thing. It took me over from 2016 all the way to 2020 for me to start understanding the dynamics of the market, to know what to actually study and what to actually focus on. So
So
yeah, so 2016, I don't know how
nine
long it's
years.
been. 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some sort of luxury because anyone watching this is not going to know. I mean, they are not seated here, so
Well,
they won't understand. Let's just agree that they
let's
will.
just agree.
So because I feel like the forex piece today
Yeah.
has like has this narrative is selling. It looks like, oh, get into forex, learn from this mentor. 3 months later, you should have a car, right? You've put in 9 years of your life into this
Yeah.
thing, and it took you 4 years before you even realized that, oh, I was not doing the right thing. How about I look at this?
Yeah.
And from 2020, it's another 5 years,
Yeah.
right? Whereas there are some people that started trading forex 2 months ago,
True.
and they're already trying to like compete. They're already asking God, when is it my turn? Bro, it's just 2 months.
Yeah. True.
It's just been 2 months, right? So, how has been your journey, the learning process, your wins, your losses? Like, have you made any significant? Did you meet any significant rock bottom? At that point, you were like, "Oh, I want to quit this thing. It's not working again for me."
Yes, I did. Like I said, I was self-funded, right? In 2016, my first deposit was my tuition fee, my school fees. Now, we had
Wait,
exams coming. Yeah, that I always say this. Now it's fun to laugh. You could laugh over these things, but
yes,
it was chaos for me
yeah,
that period, to be
yeah.
very honest, because exams were coming in like 2 to 3 weeks time, and I felt like I was really ready. To be very honest, I really felt ready, and at that point I felt, okay, you've learned forex, just put this money, flip it, keep some for yourself, pay your school fees. The plan was so
The
nice,
the plan
really
is always
perfect,
nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I got the idea from a madman, of course. So so
I'm going to put that
I
clip.
so I funded, and little did I know I was learning binary. This is why I hate binary till date. There's this
Yeah.
guy that always pops up on YouTube and Snapchat every single time when you're watching a video. One young guy, you've not seen that video.
I'm not
Ah,
saying
no, we need to find that
he's
video. The
promoting
guy is
binary.
binary, and I'm like, if I catch this guy, because I have terrible experience. My first deposit was the most
Wait,
chaotic,
why
but
do I
then
feel like I know this guy?
you
Young,
will know
tall,
him,
black,
young,
slim,
slim, very slim, very
maga.
small, maga mind or
Maga.
something. That guy is everywhere, and I'm like, if I catch this guy, because
Billionaire.
binary is the most craziest thing to do. To be
Yeah.
very honest, it's the most craziest. So I took my school fees and I funded, and in less than 1 minute, it's always countdown, put or call. That's how it is. So you either put or you call. I think put is buy, call is sell or something. So I did, and in less than 1 minute, I lost my entire school fees. It was terrible for me, and at that point, I now felt like, guy, what's happening? Like, what's really happening at this point? And because my parents never liked the idea of trading, I couldn't tell them I lost that money to my trading account. I couldn't tell them I've lost the school fees they gave to me for to trading, and it was very, very difficult, to be honest, very, very difficult. And so that was my first loss. That was what gave me the realization that not all that glitters is
It's good,
gold.
yeah.
You understand? The way the lifestyle traders are showing these things, they make you think that all you need to do is to step into the trading industry, and then you would start living the life. So that was my first realization that not all that glitters is actually gold. Then I think I've taken lots of losses. When it comes to trading, I've blown accounts, multiple accounts. There was a time where, I took a certain loss and I was really, really upset about it. I think I took a certain loss and I was just rolling on the floor. That was when I lost, I think, $15,000, and it was someone's fund. And it
Crazy.
was really crazy, to be very honest. I took that loss, and since then it was on NFP. I think NFP or CPI, one of those news
News
events,
trading, yeah.
and it was really, really bad. So that for me is the largest amount I've lost, like at a go, not prop account,
$15,000.
$15,000, like actual funds. and you know how you need to start explaining to the investor, oh, I'm sorry,
How did
but
that
then,
end?
no, for me, I've always have a way to bounce back. The thing is, you sign certain kind of contracts, but
Contract,
at the
yeah.
end
You
of the day,
protect
you
yourself too.
reimburse, exactly, you reimburse these things back to the investor. But then I had mine. He was sort of like a family friend, so he wasn't really bothered. He understood the whole risks around trading, but then
Trading.
it was really bad because that was when I felt like, okay, $15,000. This is now the time for me to scale. I was gonna flip, and then gather this money, give him his part, and then continue my trading. So that for me is a single blown account I've had. But then from then it's been one account gone. We still lose accounts, right? In
Definitely, yeah.
terms of prop firm, you will still lose account, but at the end of the day, it's all about realizing that trading is a game of probability. You understand? And in a game of probability, you can't win all the events, right? If we both flip coin now, you could pick heads, I pick tail. It won't always fall on tail, right? There are
Yeah.
times where it will fall on heads.
Yeah.
So the idea to trading is just that way. You're either buying or selling. You won't always be right. But what you need to do to yourself is put yourself in a position where you're not random. So you can follow a fixed set of rules over a period of time, irrespective of outcome. That is how we win. So, prior before 2020, I was really focused on, trying to be perfect. My ideal definition of a perfect strategy is a system that would maybe not lose at all. The Holy Grail system. And that was what I was constantly searching from 2016 all the way to 2020. And in the year 2020, I had to just say to myself, bro, there's something you're not doing right. There's something you're missing. Why is it that you're not successful? You've been going from 2016 to 2020. That's almost four years, and it's not looking nice. So at that point, I had to hit the pause button, right? I said to myself, take a chill pill. Now, try to understand the industry. That was when I started my unlearning to relearn. It was a phase for me where I had to now unlearn everything I knew about trading, because now I need to understand something. How does this industry function? And I think this is the problem that a lot of traders have, right? They don't spend time to research the industry. Bro, if I want to go into fashion today, the first thing I want to do is called market research, right?
Yeah.
You want to survey the industry. You want to understand first to identify the market leaders. You need to know who are the people that control this industry, right? That's the first thing. It's wrong or foolish for you to go into the fashion industry. You don't know who the market leaders are. You don't know who was the top performing company in the year 2024. You just want to step into the industry. It's wrong, except if you want to do a Arike collection, right? But if you're really serious about building a brand, the first thing you want to do is called market research.
Research, yeah.
So when you do this research, the key aim of a research is for you to identify market leaders, how they succeed, their strengths and weaknesses, their failures along the road, because these are things you want to avoid in terms of growing your startup, right? But when you bring this to the trading industry, you get to find out that a lot of traders, we don't do this. We don't do enough research to understand the industry we're coming in. Trading itself is an industry. There are market leaders. There
Yeah.
are those who control the market. There is a way they do it. There's a way they think. They have failures. They have strengths. These things are stuff that we need to study. So in the year 2020, I started doing this research. I was on learning to relearn. Then I got to find out that the institutions, like the banks, the hedge funds, these guys have a different way of thinking. These guys would probably focus on, these numbers are public, of course. If you go search certain financial companies, annually they drop their numbers, their performance for the year online, so you can assess them. Now, when I started reading or probably just going through the numbers, I got to find out that these guys make around 100% in a year. Now, 100% in a year divided by 12 months, it's roughly around 10 or
Yeah, 10,
12%
yeah.
every month. So I now had to ask myself, if the guys who control this industry are going for 10%, 5% every month, 11% every month, why am I trying to get 500%? Why am I trying to take $100 to $1 million?
In 2 days.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. Now, of course, it works. Now, I'm not telling you that flipping doesn't work. Flipping does work. There are people who flip. But you see, what the question now is, what is the tendency of this happening all the time? The same way we can say that picking a bag of money on the floor is not possible. We can't rule out the possibility of picking a bag of money, right? Because there are people who've heard on the news where someone picked up a bag of, I think, a bag full of dollars
Dollars, yeah.
in the airport and
And return, yeah.
returned it. Exactly. So things like that happens. Then they are rare events.
They
That's the
don't happen
same
all
thing.
the
Exactly.
time. Yeah.
That's the same thing with flipping that people don't understand. That most of these people that paint the ideology about flipping, it doesn't always happen that way. They have lots of accounts they've blown, right? And then if you want to flip from a position of abundance, right? You know how they say trade with capital you can afford to
To
lose.
lose, yeah.
So at that point, you know that if you're losing this $100, it's good and fine. So for me, I did that research, and that was the perspective shift for me. I started focusing more on risk management and probability thinking, and that was where a lot of things changed for me.
That is such a beautiful piece. And why I say this is a beautiful piece is because everybody watching right now, they're going to understand that this is already a masterclass on its own. If you listen, right, you're going to realize that this is a masterclass because sometimes or all the time,
Yeah.
when we get into trading, I am a trader myself, partly.
Yeah.
Right? When we get into trading and we're looking for, oh, is it that my strategy don't work? Do I need to learn ICT? Do I need to learn
Yeah.
SMC?
Yeah.
I know somebody that makes money from support and resistance.
Exactly.
And that's the only thing they
Exactly.
do. In fact, I know a very big mentor in the Forex industry in Nigeria
Yeah.
that only trades support and resistance. Right? But
Yeah.
he's not going to come and publicly say, I trade. So
Of
he'll
course.
probably name it something.
Of course.
And you think it's one very big, but it's support and resistance.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? So being that, okay, you saw the market in a different light, instead of watching for strategies, you are focusing on what are the big bags doing.
Yeah.
And you're looking to use that to maybe like shape your own what they call it now, decisions
Yeah.
and everything. That is such a beautiful thing. But then here's my question, right? There's somebody that just listened to what you just said now, and it makes so much sense. They want to stay on risk management. They want to manage their losses. They want to like do all of that thing. But all they have is $100. And why I'm saying all they have is $100 is most people that get into trading don't have an actual skill.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, if you look around, you're going to see the pattern. They come out of school, maybe they are still in school and they want to make money. And they see a random person. I mean, you know Forex traders, you know how they
course,
put
of
their
course.
ads. Their ads is like, it's a holy grail. Use my strategy, make the millions.
Yeah.
It's plug and play. In fact, some people tell you you don't even need to learn trading. Just get into my signal room and you make millions, right?
Yeah.
So this person has only $100. They probably they've learned here and there. They know how to plot their chart and all of that. But then they are doing 5% of $100. It's $5. They might like, okay, let's say they have a strategy that gives them what, six wins, 4 losses, right? They are doing 3% here, 5% there, 2% here. Do you understand?
Feel you.
And after 6 months of trading, that $100 is probably at $120.
That's if it survives the first month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just putting a good case scenario now that this person is actually good and he's disciplined. So after 6 months of trading, that $100 is at $120. Now, this person don't have any other skill that pays them. They need to eat. They need to take transportation. They need to like settle bills, and they are depending on their $100 to make this thing work. How would you say this person should approach risk management? I mean, why don't they try flipping the $100 to like $10,000 in 2 days?
Well, they can. If we're being very honest, they can. You know, you could either choose slow death or instant death. You understand? You can either choose
At the
either
end of
of
the day,
them.
you die.
At the end of the day, you would die. So you can either choose instant death or slow death. Because you see, trading is like every other business. We need to be very honest with ourselves. Trading is like every other business. You need funding. I don't know if you're watching this, but you need funding. Funding is, you can't take it out of trading. See, if we're both going to start a restaurant business, right? If you're starting with $1 million and I'm starting with $10,000, the way you would scale growth will be different from me. Let's be very honest. It's the same thing with trading. I love the illustration you gave, because when we talk about 5%, To the guy with $100, 5% is just $5.
$5, yeah.
But then with the guy with over $1 million, that's huge.
That's huge.
With 100K, 5% is $5,000.
Yeah.
That is something anyone could live off with in Nigeria, and you will be among even the top rich guys.
You are the 1%,
$5,000
yes.
every month in Nigeria is very huge.
You're in the 1%.
So the thing is, trading needs capital. If we're being very honest, we need to identify, we need to like make this very clear to everyone listening that you need funding. I'm not telling you to go to investors or something. If it means for you to save, but you need funding. And I would say to these people, you know, save to the point where 10% of that money monthly could do something for you. You understand? If it means saving to, let's say, 500,000 naira, and you know that 10% out of that money, which is 50,000 naira, could mean something to you in a month, then it's fine. But coming back to the idea of risk management for those who have smaller accounts, see, it's going to be difficult, right? But it's possible. Now, if you aim for, let's say, you know, there was a time where I was doing a challenge for, you know, taking $500 to $1 million by the end of 2025. Now, the thing is, if you're looking at smaller accounts, you don't look at the value. You don't look at the amount itself. The moment you start focusing on the amount itself, it becomes almost impossible to grow with a proper risk management. You begin to think in terms of percentage growth. Now, percentage growth, sorry, when I say percentage growth, what I mean is, you know, when you have X amount of money, it's no longer $100. Now it's 100% of your equity. So the question now is, are you willing to risk 2% of that equity? Are you willing to risk 5%, 4% on every trade, right? You see, these are the decisions that you have to make yourself. But what I'm saying is, it's difficult. The best thing I can give to anyone who have $100 trading account is get a prop account, right? Get a prop account, because the prop firm was supposed to bridge between low capital funded traders and those who want to scale up capital, right? So go for prop accounts. But right now we have lots of firms that are making it difficult for traders to pass. But what I will say is, it's worth it when you go for prop accounts, because that way you could scale growth. But there are events where $100 could be grown into something decent. We've seen this time and time. But like I said, it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, because the human brain is wired in a way where we are motivated by events and we are demotivated by events. For example, if you come now and I give you $1 million, the way this interview would go will be different. Right? We are motivated by the outcome of events, our emotional beings, for being very honest, right? So the things we see motivate us. You can't wake up every single day disciplined enough making $1 every day.
Yes.
It will fail off. At some point, you will feel tired. It will now make you feel like, maybe I'm not doing too much. Let me increase it. Now, these are the time where you begin to ruin things. But the moment this 1% is over, let's say, $10,000 every day, come on. Even when you don't feel like waking up, you wake up. So it's just that way. I can't really advise anybody to grow $100. Yes, attempt to flip. If you want to flip it, flip it. If it goes well in your favor, then you have something to build up with. Then you can scale. But I will tell you this, that if $100 is your last fund, I wouldn't advise you to flip it. This is how to grow it instead.
Exactly.
Now, you have $100. You could scale for 100% monthly, or let's not do 100% monthly. Let's do 100% every 2 months. So which means $100 to make $50 in a month. Now, this is very possible, to be honest. To someone who is very focused, I've done this before. It's highly possible. So what you're doing now is, now your target from $100 is $50. Now divide $50 by 20 trading days. Now that's if you're a day trader. It means you trade every single day. Now, if you divide $50 by 20 trading days, I think you would have, let's just do this real quick because we're working, 50 divided by 20. It means you need to make $2.5 every day. You see how it's now looking realistic to achieve. Now, $2.5, if we divide $2.5 divide by 3, let's say your average risk to reward is 1 to 3 per setup. Now, if we divide by 3, you have 0.8 cents per trade. So you see, now rather than risking $1 on every single trade, or you're risking $10 on every single trade, now you know you only need to risk 0.8 cents. If you go 0.8 cents and aim for 1 to 3, you're gonna hit I think $2.5 like we just did.
For
Now
every
this is for
TP.
every win you have $2.5. Now you could now divide. This is what I do. I divide my $100 rather than the $50 target. I divide my $100 divide by 20 trading days. That's what I do. So that moment, $100 divided by 20 trading days will be $5 per day.
Per day.
So which means if you can make $5 per day in 20 trading days, you would make $100. Now these $5 per day, there are days where your system would not perform.
Definitely.
So what I do with such calculation is, you know how they say aim for the stars. If you don't hit the stars, you might fall on the sky. You understand, on the clouds or something. So now you are over stretching to say to yourself, even if I don't reach that $100 target to hit $5 every single day for 20 days, I could do $70, $60. You see how you're hitting above the mark. But this requires discipline. It requires a certain kind of discipline, a discipline where you don't look at the numbers when you're starting. Because day one, you sit for like 4 hours, 5 hours on your chart just to make $5. Do you know how disappointing that is? To someone just starting out, they'll feel like, why now? I'm making $5. But then if you do this for 1 month, you hit your $50 target. Now you have 50%. Now you have $150. You do this for 2 months. You're able to hit $200. Now it's time to scale. Now you're now taking $200 to $400 in another 2 months. $400 to $800. $800 to $1,600. $1,600 to over $3,000 something dollars. $3,200. You see how it goes. But then the beginning stage is where a lot of people get disappointed. So I'm not telling them that you can't do it. I've done it before. I've done it multiple times. For me, that's how I scale, because when I started trading, there wasn't prop firm, if we're being very honest. Prop firms were not really there. I think the first gig I got was from my Forex fund, and they've crashed now. So those guys were like the initial prop firm that we started like knowing about, if that makes sense. So when we started, the prop firm were not there, and I was really scared in terms of getting funds from investors, right? So this was how I scale my growth. You pick a certain account and you just keep going gradually. The early days might not look like a lot, but the moment you keep going, you eventually get there.
That's the compounding effect.
The compounding effect. And that's what trading is all about, if we're being very honest. See, there is no way you would have a system, a working system you've tested, and then that system will lose 20 consecutive days. It's not possible. If we're being very honest, if you follow that system, 20 days losses, then that's not a system. If it be a day trading system, you lose Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Another week comes, you lose again. Another week comes. No, now we've not seen that system. So which means if you divide the $100 divide by 20 days, there's a higher tendency that you may not hit that $100 profit. You will lose on some days. But then the moment where at the end of the month, you're maybe making $30 increase or $40 increase or $50 increase, keep to those money. They may look small, but imagine you're doing this regularly and you keep scaling up. Trust me, you'll get there.
And okay, now there's somebody that just listened to you and they want to like say, oh, it's easier said than done, right? We live in a country where everybody wants you to prove something that means nothing to them at the end of the day, right? They listen to you, the structure is good, the calculations are right, but then it feels like, oh, it's not doable. I can get the whole, okay, I'm losing 0.8 cents, I'm gaining $2.5, blah, blah, blah. But then when they hit their first when they hit their first 8 cents loss, hit their second 8 cent loss, what they call it now, emotion gets involved. They want to make it back immediately, forgetting that maybe that day could be a bad day for them, that they should leave the chart and all of that. So how do you think one can work on? And by the way, before we do that, when you were talking about prop firms, I wish there was one I could just slot in and say, oh, go use this one. So prop firms do send sponsorship so that I can put your name in here, right?
Of course.
Slide into the DM. Let's talk business. So how do you advise somebody that is trying to follow this system, but then their emotions get involved?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, to be honest. See, emotions would always get involved. To be very honest with you, emotions will always get involved. There is no way as humans we would say take out your emotions from trading. Those things are easier said, but they are not realistic. So first off, you're going to get emotional, and it's fine. You need, first thing to do is acceptance. You need to accept the fact that you will get emotional after 10 losses. After 5 losses, come on
Yes.
now.
Yes. It's
No
money
matter
you're
how
losing. I
you're
mean,
losing money,
yeah.
something would hit somewhere.
Yeah.
But then you see, as human being, you have to be a man. I'm sorry, be a woman, be a man. This is a figure of speech.
Just have
I'm not
chest.
exactly have
Have
chest,
chest.
chest it and show up again.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I use be a man, I'm not excluding the other gender. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, you need to be that guy that looks beyond outcome. The disappointment most traders face is not the outcome itself, is the expectation they had on that trade. Now,
Oh
let me
yeah,
explain.
that's good.
Before you take a trade, you're already seeing the profits. That's
Yes.
the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem, because now you're thinking, oh, if this trade just goes now, I'll make $1,500. Why are you not thinking, if this trade goes against me now, I'll lose 700? Ask yourself, are you okay with taking $700 loss? So these are the things that we need to start doing, right? Take out the expectation from your trading. Don't expect, execute, right? Come to your chart every day without expectancy, with the hope to execute, right? What you need to do is to show up every day and execute, irrespective of outcome. You're gonna lose. That's the first thing we need to keep one side in our brain, that, see, when you show up today, the finest setup still lose. The ones that look like they would always move your way, they would still lose. So what you need to do to yourself is, you need to put yourself in a position where you're saying that, okay, come what may, I would show up every day. Even if I lose, even if I win, take out that expectations, aim to execute. Just keep executing, because what you're doing, trading is a game of compounding. If we're being very honest, the aim is not to win now. The aim is to focus on doing what you're doing now. It's what they call baby steps, right? Keep taking that step. If you're walking from here to, let's say, Lekki, and you want to walk, right, the first step will look difficult. The journey looks long, but then just keep walking. Don't even think about the destination. Keep the destination one side, but then show up every day. Those are the things that are needed. So what I'm saying in essence is, losses are fine. You will take losses. We all do take losses. I took a loss today, and it's absolutely fine, right? But what we do is, we show up the next day with the same system we have. We don't run away. There's a thing I call the loop, the trading loop, right? The trading loop is a system where you learn a trading strategy today, right? You start trading for a period of time. You win for a while. You start taking losses, and then you get discouraged. You go to YouTube. You learn another system. You win for a while. You start taking losses. You go to YouTube. Now you keep going in circles. You're not making significant results. You see, those kind of things would not make you money in trading. The one thing you need to be a successful trader is the stickability mentality. Okay, they'll power it up now. Sorry. So there's a thing I call the trading loop, right? The trading loop is a situation where you learn a system, you're profitable for a while, you start taking losses, you drop the system, you go to YouTube, you learn again, you just keep going in circles. And what most people don't realize as traders is, for you to succeed in trading, you need a stickability mentality, the ability to stick on something and stay on that thing regardless of outcome. Now, when we say regardless of outcome, of course, make sure the system you're trading is a profitable one. For being very honest, the system has to be profitable. So that for me is what is needed to be consistently profitable in the trading industry. I recall your question is how to deal with this emotional heartbreaks from taking losses and whatnot. And you see, we can't eliminate those emotions. They are absolutely going to be there. What you just need to do is to trust in the process. Trust in the process, have the stickability mentality, stay on what you're doing, and hoping that over time you would compound. See, trading is always like flipping a coin, right? If we are being very honest, you wouldn't always get the outcome you want, right? But then the moment you begin to panic and begin to change your decision every single time, then the edge or the odds would not be in your favor. So what we need to do is to maintain our decision. If I'm going to stay on heads, I would stay on heads. If I would be picking tail, I'll stay on tail. I can't keep switching. The more you keep switching, the more you go against the game of probability. So what I'm saying to someone, if you're trying to grow a smaller account, you won't see the result today. but keep watering, keep showing up. You see, it's like planting a tree. You wouldn't see that tree overnight, but then the moment you keep watering it every single day, the growth you don't see would eventually come out one day, and eventually you'll see the results.
That's actually beautiful
Yeah.
because, and why I asked that question is because, I mean, some people look at you guys that are profitable now,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I think there's something these guys are doing that we are
Yeah.
not doing. And when you look at it, when you look at their system, you realize that their system works, right? That person trading a $10 account
Yeah.
probably has like one of the best strategies.
Exactly. I was saying this the other time on another interview. I said, see, if you want to find profitable system, go look for beginners. Talk to beginners. You begin to
Yeah.
understand that, bro, this shit you have here is extreme,
It's
man.
gold.
It's gold. How you not milking this thing? And they tell you they just make 10%. Give me that 10%, bro. I need that 10%.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, how would you advise one to approach prop firms? Because I mean, we know the story of prop firms in Nigeria. We've tried to
Yeah.
trust prop firms. We've tried to believe in prop firms. In fact, I had a guest here,
Yeah.
and we talked about a prop firm. And immediately that video went live, I got a lot of DMs. Oh, I've bought this. Oh, reach out to this person for me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even work with this company,
Yeah.
bro. They are just or he is just my guest. Can you guys talk to the customer service and
Yeah.
leave me out of it? Right? I just realized that there's a lot of problems with
There
prop
is.
firms.
Yeah.
So how would you, I mean, do you trade prop firms yourself?
Yes, I do.
So how would you advise somebody to approach prop firms?
You see, trading prop firm is quite different from personal accounts, for being very honest. You know, with personal accounts, you can take certain decision. You don't have maximum daily drawdown. You don't have orders. You can't trade the news events and whatnot. Now, initially, prop firms were meant to bridge the gap between funding. They were meant to, help traders. Now it feels like prop firms are almost against traders. They use the word, we're protecting our business, and it's absolutely fine. But what I would say from the prop firm standpoint, or as a trader who would have traded prop firms over time, I think what you need in terms of trading prop firm is one, don't rush it, right? Especially if you don't have the luxury of buying more accounts. There are two ways to pass in prop accounts. There is the aggressive and the conservative. Now the aggressive comes from this point. This is how I do it. Let me give them the strategy, maybe
Yeah.
it will help them. Now see, you could buy two prop firm in a month. If you have $100, right? $100, rather than use $100 to buy one account, use the $100 to buy two accounts, right? Now you will be trading only two news events every month, just two news events, CPI and NFP. Now, this prop firm tell you 5 minutes before the news and 5 minutes after the news, you're not supposed to trade. That's fine. What you want to do is to set pending orders, buy stop and sell stop. You have two accounts, 255K account that was bought with your $100.
Why do I
You're
feel like
buying
I see
two.
what you're about to do?
Exactly. You're buying two. Now, you're not risking the two on the one news event, but then you're putting pending orders. This is what happened with NFP and CPI. They could either do a fake out spike and go the actual direction. That happens, right? But I want everyone watching this to go back test historical data on NFP and CPI. See the number of time where the fake out move happens before it drops.
Before it
I
drops.
will tell you that doesn't happen all the time. There are times where the news event just comes and it drops in your direction and it stays there.
Yeah.
It doesn't manipulate, right? Now, this is what you're doing. You're going to capitalize on those months where you don't have manipulative move. You just have one tanking move. Your pending orders will be set 5 or 3 minutes before the news event, depending on the prop firm you're using. On one account, put it pending order, and then your risk management. Maybe you want to hit, let's say, buy one step account, of course. Now this is random. I'm giving you guys something that I was doing, but I've stopped. All things are passed away.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is now you set the pending orders with one step account, and you are, say you're supposed to make 10%, right? Divide 10% divide by 10% divide by 4, you will get 2.5%, right? So your risks on that trade on both pending orders will be 2.5, because what you're aiming for is 1 to 4. You don't want a manipulation. Remember, you're not trading news events that would manipulate. Now, when the news comes out, you are likely to pass it with 1 to 4, right? Because one spike with risking 2.5% could easily give you 1.4, 1 to 4 risk to reward. Now that could happen. But in the event where NFP for that month manipulated, which means it took out your buy order and your sell order, which means at that point you've lost one account, but you have another account. Keep that account for CPI. Now, what I've done from historical data, I'm saying this with every level of specificity because I've done this. I've researched on this. I've done back-tested data on it. I've come to realize that the manipulation rarely, now I'm using the word rare because nothing works 100%,
100%,
but then it rarely happens with CPI and NFP for the same month. So if an event where NFP manipulated, CPI would not manipulate. It will just take its direction and move. If it's going to put bullish, it stays that way and go. If it's going to put bearish, it stays that way and drop. Those are the news events you want to capitalize. So for in a specific month, you could lose one and pass one. Now you have a live account. This is where your strategy comes in. Now start trading that your strategy, but then aim for like 10% every month, or what am I saying 5%? 1% every month, right? Or let's just use figures. If you're able to buy, let's say you have $100, because someone will be thinking, oh, this thing you need funds. You don't need funds. If you have $100 to buy one account, split $100 into buying two accounts, which is the $5,000 account.
Yeah.
Now you've passed one and failed one. With your one that you've passed, aim to make $100 or $200 a month on that account. Now, if you aim to make $100 on that account, guess what? You've successfully covered the investment fund, and now you have $100 payout. But what I would advise, this is what I've always advised all my traders, right? Aim for $200 payout on that $5,000 live account. When you've done this, reinvest again. Now you have $200 profit from this $5,000. Take out $100, buy another two prop accounts for the next month. See, I've done historical data. There are months where NFP and CPI would not manipulate. I've seen months like that where the both of them would just, if it comes out, if it's going to be buy, it just goes. If it's going to be sell, it just drops. You know what I'm saying? You're a trader, so you get it. Now, there are months where you could pass two of that account. But then I don't want to keep your hopes high. I want you to put yourself in a position where you can only pass one. Now, you've successfully passed one. For the next month, you bought two accounts. Now you pass one. You now have two live accounts. If one account could give you $200, two accounts can give you $400 payout. Does that make sense? Now, when you get that $400 payout, for the next month, reinvest again. This is how it's done. To be very honest, this is how I grew most of my funds. Right now, I'm showing you the conservative way, but in a more smart way. Well, some would call it aggressive, but at the end of the day, you're being smart. You don't want to take that your account now and then you're looking for setups that you just pump lot size on. No. News events are there for you. There's a reason why prop firms don't want us to trade news events. As a matter of fact, if this goes out, because there's a reason why they ban Pakistans and Indians from buying account. And this system, I learned it from a Pakistani. To be very honest, I'm being very honest. I only teach my community members this system.
This is a masterclass at this point, guys.
I only teach them this system because it's something that works. If I have $500 now, any trader that could afford $500 now, keep that $500 for 5 months of buying prop accounts. Only focus on buying 5K, 2K, 2 accounts every month for the next 5 months. You can't tell me for good 5 months NFP was manipulating, CPI was manipulating. It's not possible. Now, I'm using 2 for those who don't have money. I've gone to the level where I could do both, what's it called, FOMC. Because I've come to realize that FOMC as well moves the way I want it to move. So this is just a way to pass it. See, the conservative requires you, risking 1%, risking 0.5%. You're going. You see, not a lot of people have that willpower to stay on business. Because, you see, the moment you start taking losses, emotions come in, like we were saying. You begin to tweak some things. Now the outcome will be different. But then when you go for the aggressive one, it's not aggressive, it's smart. But when you go for that other style, you know you've passed the phases. Now the pressure of hitting phase 1 is out. Or hitting profit target is out. Now you know it's my live account. I could just sit down. The days I want to trade, I can trade. The days I don't want to trade, I would not trade. But now it's my account. So that is what I do. I don't know how other people do it. But I also have the conservative way, to be honest. I think I just got, what's it called? A 50K account from a certain prop firm I would not mention. Now, I just got the 50K from them and I'm taking a buy on USD card. So the thing is, there are days where I go that conservative as well, right? But all I'm saying in essence is others can as well go for the large one, the aggressive one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a masterclass, to be honest. And if you're watching this, this is a system that has been given to you.
It works.
While prop firms don't want you to do it,
They know you pass. There's a reason why they turn down Pakistans, right? Why Pakistans don't register, because these guys would rent a full building and there will be like more than 30 of them.
Yeah, I've seen
guys are
videos
crazy.
like that, yeah.
One will be buying, one will be selling.
Yeah.
You know, it's very aggressive. But at the end of the day, for being honest, the prop firm don't want you to win. You two have to find a way to win. So it's a crazy system. It was given to me by a Pakistani. I so much respect that guy. If I mention his name, a lot of people know him. But him as well, he has lots of issues with prop firms. So
and while we are still on the matter of prop firms, if you're a prop and you're watching this, slide in DM. Let's put your name here.
deals.
Let's put your name. Bring in deals. Let's put your name here. By the way, let's talk about how you were able to scale. Because one problem I see among traders is scaling, right? They learn this thing. The ones that want to, the disciplined ones, they want to like stay on business.
Yeah.
I know this guy on TikTok. This guy, I've been following this guy from where he never made a profit. In fact, people normalize commenting in that you never ever withdraw.
Yeah.
So, but then he was consistent. He kept doing it. It took him, I think, from the day I started following him, or like I noticed him, it's been like what, 6-7 months. So recently he just made like a millionaire withdrawal.
Wow.
Right. So 7 months from I've never withdrawn any money from Forex. Now I'm withdrawing a millionaire. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is a problem among new traders, scaling. And this is something they don't get to talk about in courses. I mean, I've paid for a couple of courses, and when you get in there, everybody's just telling you, buy high, sell low, sell high, all this stuff. So how do a newbie trader scale, especially when they've learned the strategy?
Well, now scaling is dependent on if you have a profitable system, right? So let's assume the set trader we're talking about have a profitable system. If you want to scale, it's simple, right? It's called, we use the word scaling, but in essence, what you're doing is reinvesting into your business, right? If you have $1,000 and you're averaging, let's say, this is what I do. Scaling could be different ways, right? What I do is I track growth every month in a personal account, right? So if you have $1,000, set targets for the month. Set target for the month. If your aim is to make 50% for the month, if your aim is to make 100% for the month, depending on it, on your personal preference, but make sure you set target. Now, if you set target, at the end of that month, say you're able to take your $1,000 to $1,500. The next month, increase it. Of course, you're going to withdraw something to feed yourself, and let's say you're left with around 1,300 or 1,200. Increase it. Always increase your target for the next month. If you achieve a target now, you could say to yourself that now this is a trading plan I have. I always increase my target every 2 months on personal accounts. So what I do is I aim for 50% every month. This is what I do. So if I go, let's say $1,000 to $1,500 at the end of the month. Now, if I hit this, I don't increase for the next month until I make another $500 again to make it $2,000. Now, when it's $2,000, I scale. I increase. I say, okay, now I have $2,000. I want to take $2,000 to this amount in the next 2 months. So scaling is different. Scaling, I think we made mention the prop firm thing, and I just showed them how to scale as well. That as well is another way to scale. But the main reference we should be talking about is before you aim for or you want to, everybody should scale. This is a business. Every business needs to be watered. It needs to be reinvested in. You don't just eat profit, you're eating the seed and the bread. Every payout, I got a payout yesterday, right? Every payout you make or every payout you get, there is bread to eat and there is harvest, right? There's bread to eat and there's something, a
Seed to
seed to
replant, yeah.
replant, if that makes sense. So that is how I function. I believe that I'm not there yet. There are people I see, bigger guys in the industry I really respect, Habi, of course I can call
Yeah,
their name for
definitely,
credit.
yeah.
Habi, Jeff, Kojo, we have Dapper Wills, we have Kenne. These guys are big guys, Dr. Bills as well. So there are people you see that even when you want to eat 100% of your money, you can't. Because I may have a roof under my head today. I may have a car that would move me from one place to another, but it's not enough. Right?
Definitely.
It's not enough.
There's always
So
room for
exactly,
more.
there's room for more. So for me, I don't think I've gotten to that point where I can stop scaling. So what I'm saying to anybody watching this today is what you can do for yourself is know that for every profit you make, every payout you get, there is within that profit, there is seed and there is bread.
Yeah.
Always, every profit you make, there is seed and there is bread. And oftentimes, what I do is I divide them by half, right? 50-50. If it's $1,000 I make, 500 goes back into the business. 500 is there for me to spend. If it's 10,000 I make, 5,000 goes back. So that is how you scale. That way you have multiple accounts. And if you're a prop firm trader, you don't rely on prop firm all the time, right? You need to make sure while you're making money from prop, you're pushing the money into your personal trading account. So these are the ways I personally would advise to scale. But there are lots of ways of doing things. Maybe to someone, scaling might mean something else.
That makes actually sense. Like, because some people get into trading and they don't know how to even monitor their
Yeah.
where they are, right? Or I get into trading, I probably started with $100 and now I have an account of $300, and they don't get to remember that, oh, I've actually
Exactly.
multiplied my money by 3.
Yeah.
But then to them, oh, because I don't have an account of $10,000, I've not arrived.
Yeah.
Bro, you've literally taken your net worth from $100 to $300. You should be able to say, okay, this one is for spending, this one is going
Yeah,
back to the business,
exactly.
and all of those things. So some people don't have that calculation. So I think this is a beautiful way to put it to them that, okay, while you're trading, also keep money aside for life, for
Yeah.
living, right? So that you don't get to be touching your capital every time there's an emergency and all of that.
Course.
That makes so much sense. Now let's talk about psychology, right? Psychology of trading. I mean, we touched it a little bit when we were talking about emotions and all of
Yeah.
that, right? I have this guy. He's a newbie. He's not like a newbie, but then his system kind of works. And one time I had a friend that needed somebody to like trade a $10,000 account for them,
Yeah.
real funds.
Yeah.
So I reached out to my guy because I get busy. I'm like, okay, bro, you do this thing full time. I have a $10,000 account. Can you handle it? And make sure that, I mean, if we are signing contract, let it be that, okay, this is the percentage we are putting on the risks, and this is so don't breach that percentage we are risking,
Yeah.
right? And I'm expecting you to actually make profit and all of that. And he straight up told me, I don't think I can manage a $10,000 account. And that was big. That
Yeah.
was him being truthful.
Yeah.
I don't think I can manage a $10,000 account. I don't think I'm ready yet. I would rather do my $1,500. That's okay for
Yeah.
me. So how do you think people can increase their psychology when it comes to the numbers now?
Yeah, that also is a thing, right? If we're being very honest, you know how they say if you can't handle a smaller account, to be harder for you to handle a
A
bigger
big one,
account.
yeah.
And there are things that we need to grow psychologically into, if we're being very honest. So that is spot on from the guy. If I'm being very honest, there are certain kind of funds I wouldn't even take. But if we are trying to understand the whole scope of things psychologically, trading itself, I've never believed in the idea that psychology could hold someone back. Now let me explain. Of course, we talk about psychology. There are those who they say, "Oh, I would analyze my trade. I'm afraid to execute the trade. I'm always scared of opening trades." Oftentimes it comes where you don't have confidence in a thing. It comes from ignorance. It comes from assuming, right? You see, most times the reason why we're scared of certain events is because we're not certain of the outcome. We're scared of death because we haven't died before. If we've died before and we're back to life, no one will be afraid to die. You understand?
Yeah.
So now, traders will tell you, oh, they are afraid of executing certain trade. It's not because they have psychological problem. It's not a psychological problem. It comes from not knowing, the fear of the unknown. Now, if you've not tested your system, these are the type of traders where you meet them, you ask them, what's the win rate of your system? They always have a number.
Yes.
You know, if you meet an average trader, so what's the win rate of your system? Oh, 70%, oh, 60%,
That number is
oh,
always
80%.
70%.
Exactly. So it's amazing when they give you these numbers. But my follow-up question from years of mentoring, right? I would ask you, how did you know? It's very important we have, heart-to-heart conversations with those we're mentoring and those we intend to help. If you give me a number and it's above 50%, you don't need my help. Because if we're being very honest, with a 50% win rate, all you need is a 1 to 2 risk to reward, and you're profitable. With a 50%, if you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward, you should be selling mentorship. You should. Because 50% 1 to 3 keeps you way above profitability. So why would you tell me you have 80% win rate and, oh, I have 80% win rate, but my problem is psychology? Your problem is not psychology. You don't have 80% win rate. You don't even know. You yourself, you're not convinced. You see, traders have to come to the point where they are convinced beyond every reasonable doubt about a thing, about their edge, about their strategy, about their concepts. So what I'm saying in essence is, when I ask them, so how did you know? This is where a lot of people stutter. Oh, no, I've tested 1 month data, I've traded it for 1 month. It's not enough. If we're being very honest, right? You need to backtest your system to the point where you are convinced beyond every reasonable doubt. That's the only way we can trust that, okay, yeah, this system is profitable. See, if the both of us have a trading account, you've backtested, let's say, 10,000 datas on your system, and I've backtested just 200 data on my system. Do you know your confidence level will be different?
Yeah, definitely.
It is. Yeah. So what people say is psychological. It's not. It stems from ignorance. It stems from not knowing, because they themselves, they can't tell you the average win rate of their system. They can't tell you the average losses they could likely take. So this is where backtesting comes in. Going back to your question in terms of, those that can handle higher, bigger trading accounts. See, the problem is you are looking at it from the account number. But what happens to thinking in terms of percentage, right? Because if this amount is X amount of percentage, which is 100% equity, then if your aim is to make, let's say, 1% every month, then it's fine. So rather than thinking in terms, oh, it's $1 million, it's $100,000, no, it's 100%. You understand? You have to remove your perspective from the number. That is how to grow bigger accounts, because bigger accounts have certain, of course, psychological effects, right? They begin to make you feel super excited. You're thinking about the profit, and this is where I said you need to detach yourself from the expectations, right? So these things are very much needed. But to answer your question directly, there are a lot of things that are attached to this. The reason why most people can't handle bigger accounts, one, we could say, they are afraid, they don't trust their system enough. Because if you trust your system enough, all you need to do is to switch from the whole the number thinking. The problem you are seeing here is the number you're looking at. But then when you move it to percentage, it becomes percentage numbers. It becomes 100%. 100% trying to make 1%. 1% divided by 2%. These are the numbers you begin to deal with. You don't see the numbers per se. You don't think, 1% is $100,000. No, you keep the percentage. And then, of course, dealing with investors, you need to make sure there is a maximum exposure that you're allowed to risk. These things are what is needed. And oftentimes, the reason, again, could always stem from not knowing your system. Now, you could know your system, but you don't know what you should expect with the system. That is where backtesting comes.
At this point, I can boldly say that we've created a masterclass here. I'm not even kidding, because when you said the only reason why we are scared of death is because we've not died before. That encapsulates the whole idea of psychology, emotions. Because the only reason why you're scared of the outcome is because you've not you've not seen enough of that outcome.
You've not seen enough of it. If you've seen enough of it, you won't be
You
scared.
won't be scared because you already know.
Exactly.
It's just like
If
Nigeria.
you've tested 5,000 trades on a system, bro, there's nothing like psychology. You would show up every day because this is what
You're a robot at
5,000
that
data.
point.
Exactly. This is what 5,000 data would do for you. You must have seen the average losing streak. You know, there's a thing I call pattern consistency, right? What we do with pattern consistency is we're looking for patterns. For example, there's a reason some traders will tell you, oh, I don't trade London session. I only trade New York session. These decisions aren't made out of assumption. They are made out of data. So you could have seen that your system performs better in New York markets rather than London markets, right? So you could now say to yourself, oh, maybe it's time to drop London market and focus on the New York. So these decisions are what we call the pattern consistency. It's the same thing you would experience. If you've tested 5,000 data on your system, bro, that idea of I'm afraid, the only time you begin to hit the panic button, of course, there's a thing I tell my traders, it's called the panic button, right? If you've tested 5,000, out of that 5,000, you've noticed that consecutively, you've never lost 10 trades in a row, 10 days, or let's say 10 trades in a row or 10 days in a row, depending on how you are tracking your progress from your back-tested records, right? If you haven't, and now you're trading in a live environment, you're now taking 10 losses in a row. Panic. It's time to panic because there's something wrong. 5,000 data you've tested before, never for once you had 10 losses in a row. Now, for the first time in history, you're having 10 losses in a row. This is where you panic. But if your system, over 5,000 records, you've seen that on an average, 10 losses fine, I can always bounce back. 5 losses fine, I can always bounce back. Those are the losses where we call them part of a profitable system, right? Because, you know, I keep telling people not all trading losses have lessons to teach you, right? They are part of the system. A 70% win rate, and then you're trying to learn a lesson from the 30% losses. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What lesson are you trying to learn? A system tells you it has 80% win rate, and then they tell you learn and study all your losses. You need to know. No, there are losses that are called normal losses. If they are taken within your trading plan, you take them, you see them, oh, it's normal, my rules were clocked and everything. You move on to the next thing. So, yeah.
Now, that brings me to this question. Trading is gambling.
Life is gambling. I wanted to say yes, but you see, I've seen this question online, and when this video goes out, a lot of people will have issues with this. But you see, life itself is gambling. Starting a business is gambling. You coming here is gambling.
Okay.
Eating is gambling. Going to bed and hoping you wake up tomorrow is gambling. You could not. We all may not. Even hoping that we have plans next week is gambling. Rapture could happen tomorrow.
Ooh.
So the thing is, we need to understand that when people bring out the idea with oh, trading is gambling, and then everyone is trying to debate. Yes, trading is gambling, right? Every event is gambling. You want to start a business today, you don't know if it will be successful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're gambling on the odds of success and failure. Right? It's the same with trading, the same with real estate. You buy a property today, you're hoping that you will make profits. Meanwhile, you could still lose. Does that make sense? But then there are things that we call calculated gambling, right? There are events that have a huge percentage of happening because of the preparedness we have on them, because of the, a certain advantage. For example, the odds of someone, let me not say you, the odds of someone leaving this place and let's say walking all the way to the estate gate, the odds of you not having an accident is higher than the odds of you having accidents. Because the road from here to the estate gate doesn't have lots of cars. Secondly, you are cautious because you're an adult. You know how to not run into a moving vehicle. You know how to avoid certain things. This is your edge over life. That's the reason why they don't keep children close to fire, because at that point, they don't have an edge. They don't know what is right and wrong. But then you growing, you now have an edge. That is why most people can't see life as gambling, but life itself is gambling. Just that you have a better edge of success because you know not to, if there's a gunshot there, you know not to pass that road. So trading could be linked that way. Trading, you have a preparedness. You've prepared, you've tested, you've calculated, you've seen something happen before. You know how you know that, okay, if this thing happened this way, it could happen again in the future. Because every pattern we trade, what we're doing is we're predicting that this thing we've seen before could happen again. So if a gunshot we had at this point, the best way, because if you run into a gunshot, you die. We know. So we know that every time you run into a gunshot, you're likely to die. So now we try not to run into. I don't know if that makes sense. So all I'm just saying to answer your question, because if we don't bring context into this thing, it's sort of like cause a lot of arguments. Trading itself is gambling. Life itself is gambling. Building businesses are gambling. Raising up a child, you're gambling. Getting married, everything itself in itself is gambling. Just that some have a better edge and they keep you in a position where you have an advantage of success over the other. Some could be calculated, some risks could be avoided, some things could be done to maybe build some sort of favor around you. So that is what I would just say.
And that's my take too, right? If you notice throughout this interview, I've not said so much because I've been learning. I mean, if you're watching this, you should realize that I'm learning. I don't know.
Both learning.
I know. I can't hide it. I've been learning, right? And which brings me to this before we round up, right? Which brings me to this. I've sat with a couple of traders, and I have spoken to more traders than I've sat with, right? Especially on TikTok and on Instagram. And I will tell you this, so many traders, how do I put this? Not to appear controversial, even though I'm the king of controversy, I've done it before. So a lot of traders are illiterates. And I'll try to explain that. They come into the space, find a mentor, learn. If the market reach here, buy. If you reach here, sell. And that's where they stay. Some people can be lucky and that is profitability for them. You see them driving nice cars, doing just that. Right? But when you start asking them questions, they're not able to hold conversations like this. Right? Where would you say your mind came from? Because your mind is unique. Right? And it's not just trading now. Your mind is unique. The way you articulate your thoughts is unique. So what shaped that mind?
Well, now you made reference to the mentor thing, right? It's very important we understand that mentors can make us profitable, right? A mentor is not meant to make you profitable. A mentor would show you how to be profitable. Let me explain before it goes out of context. You see, a mentor is one that knows the way, show you how, gives you the blueprint. If you want to learn how to cook jollof rice, you go on YouTube, you watch the video. Do you expect the woman to give you the jollof rice? You have to cook it. If I'm to teach you how to drive a car, I always make this reference. You could have the best instructor in the world. I mean, one of the cars for Fast and Furious could be your instructor. But if you don't sit on the driver's seat, you may never know how to drive.
You will never know how to drive.
Exactly. You will just have theoretical knowledge, not practical knowledge. Most people believe that mentors are meant to make that flip for them. A mentor gives you the blueprint, like the recipe for cooking jollof rice. The cooking will have to be done by you. You understand? And the more you cook, the better you are at cooking. Does that make sense? And people understand the reference. So back to the idea of what shaped me. I'm a big believer of research. I test the knowledge. You know, I'm a Christian, and there's a part in the Bible where, you know, the Bible said something about testing spirits, right? Even when there's a demon at some point that was telling a certain preacher in the Bible that Jesus I know, or something, James I know, but you, who are you? You understand?
Are you?
So exactly. So at some point, I'm someone who, if I see you doing something, I might be inspired, but then I would have to be self-convinced about that thing. And that for me has always shaped my knowledge, like shaped the way I think, the way I talk, because I want to speak from a position where it's not they say, they said, it's I said, I say. because I've tested them myself. And that for me is one of the reasons why success for me in trading literally was a 180 sweep, right? I just moved from doing the wrong thing and I turned into doing the right thing because, like I said to you, there was a year where I had to just pause, ask myself, what am I doing wrong? Who controls this market? How do they think? How do they function? What do they look out for? What's their targets? What are the things they have to trade? You understand?
Yeah.
It's about verifying things yourself. And that for me has literally shaped how I think. I always go research. If I see a paper or I see like the book Trading in the Zone, a lot of time people have read that book, you know, they love the concept and whatnot. Very few people have actually taken time to research into the author. See, some things might sound smart, but they may be coming from a failure. Haven't you seen people who write book on how to be successful and they are not successful?
People who sell book on how to be
Exactly.
successful and they are
So
hawking
why
it.
are we just, because someone said something and it feels nice, you don't think you need to research the author? I was doing this survey. After I've read a lot about the author, I tried to like go deeper into studying this guy. And of course, he's good. I'm not discrediting that book. It's an amazing book. And the author himself, amazing record. But what I'm saying is we need to go beyond just hearing nice things and reading nice things to actually know that if this is coming from a place of experience or even the author is giving you hearsay. Because obviously if you've not been successful before and you're teaching me how to be successful, you're giving me hearsay because you can't give me first-hand experience. You're not giving me a blueprint. You're giving me something someone said or something you think. So if this thing was working, why didn't it work for you? I don't know if you understand. So it's just the way. I am big on research and verifying.
And this can actually be applied to our Nigerian schools, right?
Yeah.
Most of the lecturers, you see an agriculture lecturer that has never owned a farm before.
Exactly.
And you expect the students to own the biggest farm. It's not possible.
They can only give you theoretical knowledge. You see, with those things, of course, they can be exceptions, but they can only give you theoretical knowledge. Imagine someone teaching you how to run a business. I'm not saying they wouldn't give you what you want, but they can only show you theoretical things. But imagine you're learning how to run a business from the likes of Dangote, from the likes of Bill Gates. It's different. These are people that have gone the path. They've seen everything. So they could give you a blueprint. There's a book called, I think the law of cause and effect. There's a law that way to the law of cause and effect, that for every cause there's a likable effect and for every effect there's a likable cause, right? It means that for me to cook a jollof rice, I just have to find someone that knows how to cook jollof rice, tell them to give me the recipe. If I follow that recipe, I'll be successful. That's what the law of cause and effect says. The same thing goes for trading. The reason why most people aren't profitable is maybe because even their mentor isn't profitable. So the mentor can give you what he doesn't have. There are some mentors that are just inspirational speakers online. They are selling content, they are selling courses. They themselves aren't profitable. So they can't give you what they don't have. The law of cause and effect is a universal law. The same goes for the law of gravity. It falls under the same law, right? You can't say you want to cook jollof rice and you're using spaghetti. It will not work. You will not get jollof rice. So when I read that book and I studied a lot about the law, I got to understand the fact that I don't take advice. I take advice from people who don't have what I want, but I don't follow the advice. That is the reason why one time my pastor said something to me that there are certain things he says to me I don't follow because I can't. You can only advise me on spiritual matters. I'm sorry, because that's where you have your level.
Strength.
That's your strength. So if I want advice on how to make money, I have to find someone who has money. I don't know if you understand.
Yes.
That's the reason why I'm very close with the likes of Kojo. I've been trying to network with other big guys as well, Happy Jeffrey and the likes, because they have what I can see, right? So I believe they have something I want to learn. But then if I now go close and I get to notice that, okay, it's not all that glitters is gold, then I might pull off. But then the law of cause and effect is very universal. Find people who have the things you want to achieve and ask them for blueprints. It's easier than hearing from a motivational speaker who doesn't have the things. So, and there are times where wisdom, when you meet someone for the first time, wisdom could tell you if this person does have the thing you're looking for.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it
Because
always,
sometimes they can just look like
they
it,
may look like
but they
it, of
don't have
course.
it. So which that that's actually beautiful, right? Because when I was preparing for this interview, when I reached out to you, I was like, I looked at your Instagram,
Yeah.
and I am one of those people that see what people don't show.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to go to your Instagram and I'm scrolling. Where is the car? Where
Yeah.
is the house? I will never do that. I'm trying to look for the one you are not posting.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what is he not posting, right? And I was telling my creative assistant, I told him, I like this guy. I like what this guy stands for, and we are going to do this interview as 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 free as it can be, right? Which is now going to bring me to this question: do you have students? Do you sell courses? Do you have mentorship? Do you have programs?
Okay, now I stopped at some point. I
Okay.
stopped because I was traveling way too often, and the timing was not now convenient for me. And recently on Twitter, a lot of people are dragging mentors for doing this, for not teaching.
Definitely. There's a
So
lot
I
of
didn't want a situation where someone would say they pay me, and then I couldn't teach them. So I had to stop mentorship at some point. But I'm trying to bring it back. I'm trying to see if I can reschedule myself into like teaching. But to be honest, I would say to a lot of people watching this right now, when it comes to like teaching, I don't have that time. Not that I don't have it, but I'm not those people that are always there. But when I'm there, I'm there. When like my students know, I have a call with them this evening, and when I'm there, I'm there. And that's the reason when you ask me if I have a thing to sell,
yeah.
I'm like, bro, this mentoring for me is not my main source of income. To me, self, it's even stressful.
It's
Trust
actually
me,
stressful.
after when I'm done trading, I love to just sit in my house, vibe to music, or I drive out to somewhere and chill. But then because someone paid you $200 somewhere, you have to leave an important task
It
and you're
is.
rushing.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not comfortable because the money I make from trading, from one prop account alone where I take payout every 7 days, right? One prop account, I'm averaging 2% on a 100K account. That's $2,000 times 4 weeks. You understand? It's more than any mentorship I want to
Yeah.
start doing. So I was doing mentorship actively, but now it's just passive. There are times where there are certain people that I talk to, certain people that I feel like, okay, this one is willing to learn. Then we should definitely have private sessions and just we talk.
So let me tell you this today now, right? And this is the first time I'm going to be saying it on any platform. I've sat with a lot of,
Yeah,
I am going to be in your, whatever, your circle. And not because, not because you're the best trader there is,
yeah,
right? Not like I'm saying you're a bad trader,
of course.
but it is the mind that I'm interested in, right? The system works good,
Yeah,
but the mind that executes the system
yeah,
is what is attracting me right now. And if
okay,
nobody has ever told you, I love how you articulate your thoughts. It makes so much sense.
yeah,
And I think it has something to do with your background, being from a military background. There's discipline here.
yeah,
If this is what we say we are doing, this is what we say we are doing,
yeah.
which is going to bring me. I've already applied. I'm one of your
No
students
problem.
now.
That's fine.
So,
That's fine.
which is bringing me to the last question.
Yeah.
What is your daily routine like? Do you have a? I mean, there's a routine going viral right now.
Okay.
So, do you have a routine? Do you have a
Uh,
routine?
well, I do have a routine, which is wake up in the morning, check the charts, see if I can find some setups, and if I don't, I don't force them, right? And afterwards, I come grab breakfast. I'm more or less an introvert, so I barely go out, and so when I'm not doing anything, I'm either watching movies. Some people will tell you they are reading books. To be honest, right? I fancy, there are two ways to learning. People learn with written text. Some learn with graphical reference, right? I prefer learning with videos. So there are times where I go back to my workspace and I just watch. I'm taking a course on Harvard Business School now. So it's on digital marketing and brand positioning. So basically, that's what I do. I just pick courses. I don't get certification, but I just pick them to keep yourself enlightened, how to build brands and marketing and whatnot. So I do them out of free will, out of boredom, if that makes sense. There are a few times where I get to like go hang out with other traders, like their DAX. These guys just call random times, and you have to be there. So
I mean, that was how we met.
exactly. So those are not part of daily routine. But a typical day for me is wake up to the chart. Of course, you pray, you take your bath to the chart, breakfast. After breakfast, you maybe watch some movies. And I often get bored. So if I watch movies, I sleep. And I'm always at home. I sleep, wake up, I go back to the bed, I watch a lecture or something. I'm back again to check the chart. So my day is always very lazy, to be honest. I'm not those people that tell you they do 58 press up, they jog
And
this.
that's actually very realistic, because if you look
My
at
life
it,
is
most of us that do things for ourselves, like we don't go for a 9 to 5.
yeah.
If you're going to be honest with yourself, it's not every day you do that reading a page every
Exactly.
day.
It's not every
You
day.
might do it once in whenever, pick
Exactly.
up a book,
Yeah.
randomly flip
Just
through
check
it,
something.
and all of that. So that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. I would want you to like walk us through your space,
Okay.
because there's something you're building up there, and
Yeah.
I want us to like talk about it. So just walk us through your space, then we'll round up, and that's it.
Sure, that's fine.
So let's go see it.
Okay, so
So guys,
everywhere is
let's go
messed up.
see his space. He has one of the chillest space I've been to, right? Being somebody that has been to a lot of people's space, this is chill. When I entered here, I thought I thought it was
So
3D printed.
yeah.
Everything is white and so clean.
Thank you. I'm not done yet because a lot of things will change. The couch will change, the rug will change, and there is a rug. I've ordered all of them, but then you know how you order and they
Okay,
take
you
some
bought this
time.
place furnished.
No, no, I don't. I didn't. We were initially had a budget for something, and the guys gave us what you ordered versus what
What
you
you
got.
get?
So now
Oh.
I have to like rechange them. But then I did this thing myself. And you asked of my daily routine, right? I
Yes.
studied interior decor sometimes. You see, part of the learning I do.
Yeah.
So was the time I learned interior decor. So these things I do um, in my free time. Even that slated panel you saw
Yourself.
upstairs. Yes, I did this myself. I fixed
Wow.
this myself.
With the mirrors and everything.
Yes, they were supposed to have, these traditional Nigerian slated panels everywhere, but I'm not a fan. So I'm planning on getting a very big
I see
screen.
you like minimalistic
Exactly.
setups
So
and
I'm
all.
not a fan. So this is the kitchen space. It's an open kitchen. So the eye
Yeah.
there is, it's a kitchen space, an open kitchen. So here is meant to be like an open bar. I've ordered the chairs, like the high stool, like 3 of them there, so they will soon arrive. So this is just, there's not so much to see here. Now for this, we've started the work. It's supposed to be crusted with cement. So the guys will work this thing by tomorrow. So they've started, they will cement that thing. And we have some artwork that will be done here,
Here.
yes, by next week as well.
Oh, what's this?
It's an inbuilt system, Bluetooth to the house. So
Oh,
let me turn
wow.
on this. So
is
this room
good.
is closed because there's construction going in.
Going on there, okay.
Here
We'll
is
just only say this one.
here is
This is the trade.
So-
So, guys, this is what I told you I wanted you guys to see, because when I came in here, this looks very good.
So we're working on here for the space. We're aiming for a different color of rug from here to here. Then we're getting chair, like a 2-seater chair. Then for this, I'm reconstructing this to like a podcast set. This would not be here permanently.
Ooh, okay.
So this would be a podcast set where I can like.
So you're looking
invite-
to get into content.
The content I want to do is just like me making videos,
Yeah,
of course,
definitely.
and then having some people, not like your type of podcast.
I mean, at the
content.
end of the day, you're not going to have time to make
Yeah,
my kind of video.
exactly,
so
to do it all the time. So I just
definitely.
want something chilled up here.
Guys,
So,
come and see this. You
this-
see this view? This view is glorious.
yeah, so
You wake up every morning
during the
and
day, it's amazing.
you stand here, you're looking at something beautiful. Money is good. Just go and make money.
Please, I'm not there yet. We're still moving.
Oh, you did it
forward.
yourself?
Yes, I did this myself. It was part of the being bored at home. You just sit and you think.
Wow.
So I did this myself.
This is beautiful.
With the help of AI, you get inspiration. So this is this is the master's bedroom.
You can leave that one.
But it will not be.
Yeah.
And then we have one room here. So it's 3 rooms upstairs, and there's a BQ.
Oh, there's a BQ.
Yeah, there's a BQ behind. So That makes it like 4 together. But I'm thinking of making a small trading floor with the BQ.
Oh, with the big.
Yes.
Is that not what you're building up there?
No, that one is my space. This one would be where I have like PCs, like computers.
So people can access this
for
one?
my team members, yes.
Oh, okay.
Like a workspace.
Okay.
So it's messed up. We've left the key, but then this is the door.
Oh,
There's
the
a
key
door
is up. Okay.
to it, but the key is inside. So we're still working on this.
But this is an amazing space you have here. Did you buy this or you're renting
Yes,
it?
yes, it was bought.
And what did you just say about not being there yet?
We're not there yet, boss. We're still pushing.
You are not. You are living in the 1%.
Well,
You're living in a country where, and I'm going to. This is statistically proven. There's data to back this up. You're living in a country where 97%
yeah,
of the people in this country don't have 500,000 naira in their bank accounts.
feel
97%. You're a trader, you know numbers.
Yeah.
Sink that in. 97%. So we only have 3% of the
Yeah.
people living in this country with over 500,000 naira in their bank accounts.
Fair.
And you have a space like this to your name, you're in the 1%. Thank you for having us in
Thank
your
you so
space.
much, boss.
And guys, if you're still watching, do well to go subscribe. And if you want to reach out to him, there's going to be links to all your accounts in the description.
No problem.
Everything about him is going to be in the description. So tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe, man. This guy is the best.
Go
Subscribe.
subscribe, please. Go
Thank
subscribe
you.
so that we'll grow this channel to 50,000 subscribers before the end of this year.
Yes.
Let's go do
definitely.
it.
All right,
So
man.
see you next time. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so
And
much, bro.
stay
Appreciate
blessed,
it.
brother.
Thanks, man.